Brother Booker's trying to keep us honest, so we're going to go ahead and get started with this session. Here in the main sanctuary, this is what every bus worker should know, an outreach that works. So if you're looking for another session, now's your time to swap. But if you're going to stay in here with us, we're going to get started. Amen. My good friend Tyler, how's you walking out? Man, phenomenal job, by the way, bro. You and Brother Strada both. But to go ahead and get started with this, the very first thing that bus workers should know, and that's whether you drive or you are a monitor, is that you are a direct extension of your church. Sometimes you will be the only face that those kids' parents will ever see connected to the church. And how you present yourself, how you talk to them, makes a big impression about what your church believes and how your church treats people. So be very careful, bus workers, how you treat the parents of your children that will be riding your buses. From the moment a child meets you for the first time, whether you're knocking doors or they're getting on your bus, I want you to know that for them, their church experience has begun. Whether that's good or whether that's bad. You are the first face that these kids will see, and you are the last face that these kids will see when they get on your buses. So smile. Matter of fact, why don't we just turn to our neighbor real fast and just give them a really big smile. Come on, you can do it. You got something in your teeth there, Brother Julian Strada. But no. So be friendly, right? Nobody wants to get on a bus with somebody that looks like they've been sucking on sour heads all morning long, right? You have to be friendly. In order to make friends, one must first be friendly. But your attitude, bus worker, sets the tone immediately for these children. The rest of their day is going to be made or broken by what they experience on the bus on the way to church. Now, if there's any married folk in here, you know that sometimes on the way to church, you and mama are fighting, and it kind of sets the tone for the church service. Brother Leon, looking at you. It sets the tone for the church service, right? So if we're doing these for our bus kids, and they're jumping on our buses, and I use the term bus kids very liberally. If any of you have listened to the podcast, you know that words matter. So these are church kids that just so happen to be riding our Sunday school buses. I do not like to refer to them as bus children or bus kids because that creates a separation there. And these are church kids that are riding our buses, not just a bus kid. Smile, be friendly. Don't look like you've been sucking on sour candy. And I put a little quote in your packet if you see it right there. It says, "A missionary doesn't always need a passport. Sometimes all they need is a bus key." I want you to know, if you are out knocking doors and you are pounding the pavement and you are bringing children to church, that you are a missionary to your city. As bus ministers, bus workers, we have to build relationships with our children that are riding our buses. Kids are not simply just a number, although yes, numbers are important. If numbers were not important, we wouldn't know how many people were there the day that Jesus broke the fish and the loaves of bread. But numbers are important. I just want you to know your kids are not just numbers. Your kids, as we have already heard so adequately this morning, are souls, and they need to feel known and they need to feel valued. You need to take time to learn their name. It shouldn't just be, "Hey, welcome to the bus." I understand the first couple times you ride your bus, that's going to happen. But how about the fourth and fifth time that they've got on your bus? Do you know who they are? Do you know their name? Honestly, do you know their favorite color? Do you know their favorite candy? Do you know what their favorite subject in school is? You need to learn these things about the children that are riding your bus, because when you begin to build a relationship, you become vested in that child. And now all of a sudden, they're not just a kid that you're getting on your bus, but now all of a sudden, "Hey, what's going on? You're acting a little off today." And you start to realize how they are acting, and something's just a little differently than what normal. And you begin to pick up on these clues, on these subtle changes, and you begin to realize that all of a sudden I have become interested in this child, and all of a sudden I have something, I have time vested, I have a relationship built there, and because of that relationship, I now have a connection directly with that child. They're going to listen to me long before someone who they don't even know, and if I come to try to correct your child, you're going to look at me and be like, you ain't my daddy. But if I've developed a relationship with that child, they will take correction from me a lot easier than they will from somebody that they don't know. But if you learn these small things about these kids, you would be surprised the large impact that makes. Something as small as remembering their birthday. That's small to us. That is huge to that child. That's whoa. And I remember when I was a kid coming up that we would get, cards and stuff in the mail. I still remember that. And I'm an adult. As my kid said, I'm old, right? I'm 35. I'm old. But no, you begin to you begin to realize the small things over time as they begin to build and build and build. And you begin to learn more about these children that are riding your buses, and you become vested in them. You begin to realize that what seems small to you is huge to those kids. Just remembering their favorite color, and all of a sudden they realize that you're interested in them. Because let's face it, kids who don't feel valued, kids who don't feel like you are interested in them, they are going to go find some place and someone that is. That's why gangs have so many kids, because those kids are simply looking for a place to belong. And you and I need to give them that place. Safety protocols. When we start talking about buses and bus routes, safety is very paramount, especially in today's world. 2025, it's a crazy world that we're living in. California, even much so, with all y'all's rules and regulations. We live in the Bible Belt, and so it's a little differently for us than what it is here. We don't have the same rules and regs that you guys have. But I want you to know that safety must always be our number one priority when we're picking these kids up. Your ratio to kids to bus monitors, you should not have more kids than you have monitors, which is going to happen. You're picking up 30 kids, you can't have 30 bus monitors, but your ratio should be, as best as you can. We try to have 10 to 3 is what we try to have at bare minimum, and we spread them out throughout the entire bus. But always have an appropriate monitor to kid ratio to ensure control and accountability, not only for your bus monitors, but for your children. Know your route, and always be prepared to need to take alternate routes. Around where we're at right now, we have a lot of construction, and some of the potholes will swallow your bus. And so we take different roads and routes to get to different places. But also, more than one person should know your bus route, because what happens if you're sick? Now all of a sudden you're on FaceTime trying to explain where this kid's going and where this kid's going and where that kid, and it's rough. Oh my word, it's so rough. So know your bus routes. Have your bus routes on paper if at all possible. Or in today's techie age, there's plenty of apps that you can download on, Know Your Route or Apple Maps, Google Maps, whatever you need to do. You can build, especially in Google Maps, you can actually build your entire bus route out, and it's pretty cool. And you can have that printed off or send it to somebody so they can run your route for you. Keep your eyes on the kids at all times, unless you're the driver. Keep your eyes on the road if you're the driver. Keep at least two workers should remain on your bus at all times. We went to a church, I'm not going to say where. They were attempting to get a bus route established, and they were doing really well. It was so cool to watch, because they call you for help, and then you show up and you're like, whoa, I like the way y'all are doing this. I could take some of this and go back home with me, but you called me to come help you, and y'all are helping me. It seems unfair. But we got on the bus, and literally every single bus monitor that was on the bus got off to go knock doors, and it left the driver by themselves on the bus. And there were 60 kids on this bus. One monitor, and that was the driver. And there were 60. And when I tell you, fights were starting to break out, kids were starting to get at each other. And so we ended up having to get all the kids off the bus and separate it. It turned into a big mess. So I want to encourage you, do not let that happen on your buses. You must remain in control at all times, because things can get out of hand at the drop of a hat, especially when you have 60 kids to one monitor. And so always at least two plus your driver try to stay on the bus. So we have couples, the way we do it in Union City, we have couples that ride the bus together, husband and wife. and we rotate who goes and knocks on doors. So, whoever's sitting in the front, they'll go out and knock doors. We still have a couple on the bus plus the driver, and they are spread out. Sometimes we have even more than that. Sometimes we'll have 4 monitors that remain on the bus while 2 go out. It just all depends on how much personnel that you have to work with. You just got to make it work for you. But safety should always be number one, always, at all times, because we are responsible for these children, not just for their souls, but for their bodies. And if all it takes in today's cancel culture is for one kid to go say something to mom and dad, and mom and dad's going to be beating the church door down, coming in, trying to handle business. And where we're from, mama handles business a little differently than what most people do. She'll fight you in a hot minute, and she don't care. And so we have to be very cognizant of the fact that we are picking up other people's children. And I say it a lot, but when you take a child by the hand, you take a parent by the heart. And we're messing with mom and dad's children. And so we have to be very, very careful that we do not abuse that relationship, or we do not handle it with negligence, but we must be intentional and careful with every single thing that we do, because we are dealing with souls. And if I go to wound one child, that's all it takes, and they will go tell every single one of their friends and every single one of their friends' parents, and then all of a sudden that bus that had 30, 40 kids on it has none, because we handled it with negligence. And so, if anything is worth doing, it's worth doing right, especially when it comes to the kingdom of God. If we're going to do this, let's do it decently in order, because that's the way everything should be done in the kingdom of God. So for you and I, we must be intentional with everything we do. Using kids to fuel outreach. I'm telling you, the best outreach workers that your church has is already sitting on your Sunday school bus. And I know that might seem kind of counterintuitive, because these are kids that are snotty-nosed. These are kids that have the tattered clothes on, and the shoes are on the wrong feet, and they have yesterday's dirt still on them. But I am telling you, the best outreach workers that your church has is sitting right now on your Sunday school bus. And it's crazy to watch. And I learned this a long time ago, is you would roll up to this apartment complex, and I find one kid in this apartment complex. I'm telling you, it works everywhere I have ever been. This works. I roll up to an apartment complex. I knock on that first door. And by the way, I have some slides put up here. Before I go on, I'm going to make another point. So tell me you have kids without telling me you have kids. Put that first one up. Look at this house. That lawn is immaculate. Them bushes are trimmed. I bet you there's not a speck of dirt inside of those gutters. Flip to that next slide. Oh, tell me you have kids without telling me you have kids. So when you go up to an apartment complex or a house and you see this, what are you expecting to be at the house when you knock on the door? You're expecting to see kids. How about the next one? Does this house have kids? Maybe. But it's kind of hard to tell, right? Go to that next one. Does this house have kids? Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. That's what the inside of my house looks like. I got 5 kids. Thank you, bro. No, so you roll up to an apartment complex or a house, and you see the toys in the yard. You see the trampolines. You see the basketball goals. I automatically know that house has kids in it, and I'm going to go knock on that door. But I go up to this door, and I knock on the door. Hey, my name's Chris Bradshaw. I'm from the First Pentecostal Church here in town. We're just out doing a little bit of outreach, inviting people to church. And we would love for you and your kids to come. We have an awesome Sunday school program. We feed our kids every single Sunday. We're bussing in anywhere between 120 to 180 kids, and we're putting a little bit of Jesus in them. And we would be so privileged if you would allow your children to come. Oh, absolutely. Boom. So now I've got an in. And I have that kid. And a lot of times, whenever we go out and we're doing outreach, that kid likes to follow us because we're giving them candy, right? And so what I like to do is like, hey, let's just say little Johnny. Hey, little Johnny, where do your friends live around here? Do you have any friends that live here? Oh, yeah. Can you take me to their house? Oh, yeah, I can take you there. And boom, he's walking with you in this apartment complex. That does multiple things. I now know where every single kid in this apartment complex lives because little Johnny knows every single one of them. But I also know that every single kid knows little Johnny, and so does little Johnny, or so does the parents. And so when I have a local kid walking with me who those parents already know because they see them on a daily basis, all of the sudden they see me as a safe place. And so that automatically gives you an in with this family, and you've never met them one time in your life. And you're walking up to them, hey, same thing. My name's Chris Bradshaw. I'm from the First Pentecostal Church in town. And I'm doing the exact same thing. And all of a sudden, yeah, my kids can go with you. And then they start following you. And so here I am, I'm walking around. I've got a whole throng of 15, 16 kids that are following behind me. Hey, where your friends live? And then all of a sudden, hey, my friend Johnny lives across town. Really? Do you know his address? Yeah, it's 123, whatever. Guess the next place I'm going. I'm going to that house, and I'm going to beat on that door and say, hey, little Johnny sent me over here. He's coming to church with me Sunday, and he was hoping you come with him. Would you? I'm telling you, it works. It works, and it makes your outreach efforts so much easier than just hit and miss. Because if you're just hit and miss, it's like playing the game of Battleship, right? A2, miss. A3, miss. But if I have an in and I can peek over top that board, I know where every boat is established. I'm going to win this game. Well, that's the same thing with outreach. Use the kids that are already sitting on your Sunday school buses, because I'm telling you, they talk to their friends at school. They talk to their family members. They talk to their cousins. They talk to their distant relatives. And when you can become so invested in that one child and make them feel like it's about them, that one right there, this today is about you. And when you can make them feel like that and you recruit them to help you, you will simplify your job so much easier. Now, I'm not saying to be lazy. That's not giving you an out. That's actually giving you an in, because it's going to make your job so much easier. But it still requires us to put the time in. But recruit the ones that are sitting on your Sunday school buses right now. Another tip or trick I would give is I do not go out on outreach in my own personal vehicle. And it's not because I'm afraid someone's going to smash a window. It's because I want to go in the bus that I'm going to be picking them up on Sunday morning, because I want that bus to become familiar to them. I want them to understand that's the bus I ride. So when I roll up on Sunday morning, hey, that's my bus. So we actually have all of our buses up until here recently, they were all different. Everyone was painted a different color, had different graphics and all of that stuff on them. And you could roll up, and I ride the Lifesaver bus. Well, we have a bus that's completely decked out, looks like a roll of Lifesavers, and Jesus Saves on the side. But they begin to realize when that bus shows up on outreach, that bus shows up Sunday morning, that bus shows up Sunday afternoon, the parents begin to identify, hey, that's my kid's church. That's the bus my kid rides. And that kid can look at it and say, that's my bus. So when I roll up on outreach, I'm not the creepy guy in the white van with no logos on the side, right? And a bunch of kids. No, I know, right? Free candy, free Wi-Fi, whatever it is, the creeper van. But no, so have your vans logoed if at all possible. Have them wrapped. Do something. Throw your logos on them. When we first started, the handouts we were given had the picture of the bus on it, and we don't do that so much anymore because we're pretty established. But that's another thing that you could do. Have the photos of your bus on the flyers that you're handing out on your route, so that people can begin to identify, that's my bus. That belongs to me. So don't ever go out in an unmarked van if at all possible, because it's weird. Whenever possible, use the exact same bus or vehicle for your routes. Make sure that it is clean, reliable, and if you can, labeled with your church's logo. That visibility and that visible consistency builds trust over time. When parents see your bus rolling through the neighborhood week after week, they become used to it, and it becomes a familiar, a safe, and a dependable way for their children to get to church. Because here's the goal. When a parent sees your face or your vehicle, they should think there is somebody that I can trust with my child. You roll up in an unmarked vehicle with a guy, and by the way, when we go on outreach, just so you know, we go as couples. So I take my wife with me, and I take my children with me. And if my wife is not with me, then my children will be with me. Because once again, this is 2025. And just being a man by myself, it's not a very warm welcome when I'm by myself just knocking doors, especially saying, hey, can your kid come with me? Let's use a little bit of wisdom. Let's be, prudent. Let's make sure that we're doing this the right way. And you will begin to see that they will trust you more when you have your own children or your wife, or, women, you don't have so much as that problem because you're already seen as a motherly figure. Guys, we just have that problem. It's just the way it is. Let's just be honest. So that's another reason why I like to recruit the local kids to come with me, is because, when you see that my kids are with me, you see the other kids with me, I become automatically labeled as a safe person. Consistency. Effective outreach isn't just about knocking the doors of your neighborhood once. It's about returning week after week. Follow up. Build relationships, not just with your children, but begin to build relationships with the parents of these children. You would be surprised how many Bible studies you can get simply by being consistent with your outreach, and that parent seeing you every week or seeing somebody on your team every week. Realistically speaking, somebody needs to be knocking doors on your route every single week. I'm not saying that has to be you. I'm saying get you a team together, whoever is riding your buses, and begin to rotate that out. Because we have families, right? And we have things that we need to do. And I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying, realistically speaking, you might not be able to go out on outreach every single week yourself, but somebody needs to be knocking that route, whether or not that is you or someone else. Do it every single week. Make a point to go to the houses of the kids that missed last week and let them know, hey, I want you to know I looked for you last week. I missed you being on the bus. I missed the energy that you bring to church. And when you can do that for those children, you're also doing it for their parents. I already said it. When you take a child by the hand, you're taking a parent by the heart. You will be surprised how many Bible studies, how many doors will be open because you are consistent with children's outreach. You begin to also reach into the homes and you begin to grab the parents. That persistent presence communicates to the parents and to the children that you care. We have, like I said, we live in the Bible Belt. Everybody's saved. In order to get people to come to church, a lot of times you have to get them lost before you can get them saved. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. I've been other places where they know they're heathens and they don't care, and so you got to approach them a little differently. But in the Bible Belt, for us, everybody knows Jesus, and they will talk to you. If you want to talk about church, let's talk about church. You want to talk about God? Come on in. We'll talk about God. I mean, it's just that easy for us. But it is hard because we have to get them lost before we can get them saved. But whatever your local area is, however the spirit of your town that you're in and how people are, you have to adapt a lot of this to work for you. But outreach simply isn't a program. Outreach is a lifestyle. When I'm at Walmart and I've had a rough day, how am I treating the cashier? When I'm at my restaurant and my food came out cold, how am I treating my waitress or my waiter? It goes beyond just knocking doors, but it's who I am as a person. When I am walking through Walmart, I see a lot of my bus kids that ride my bus, words matter. A lot of our kids that are riding our buses and they see me, Brother Bradshaw, and they're running across Walmart. And sometimes I have yet to meet that kid's parents because they're riding a different bus. And a lot of times I would hear, who is that guy? And the kid would turn around, oh, he's from church. And all of a sudden, I'm labeled as a safe space, and mom's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And then I go up and introduce myself. Man, it is so nice to meet you. Susie rides our bus every Sunday. I just want you to know she's such a blessing to our church. We're so glad. Thank you so much for letting her ride our buses. You should come with her sometime. Come check it out. See what it's all about. When outreach becomes who you are, not just a program. And every single opportunity you have, every encounter that you have with somebody turns into an outreach effort. All of a sudden, you begin to, it flows easy. It doesn't seem awkward. Because let's be real, when you first start getting into this and knocking doors, it's pretty awkward. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts, some of us are the in-between. You probably couldn't tell, but Brother Bradshaw's an extrovert, and so I like to talk to people. They tease me, and they say I could probably talk to a stop sign. I probably could. Awkward conversation, but I probably could have something to say to a stop sign. But when it becomes who you are, not just something that you do, your attitude towards outreach shifts. Your attitude towards reaching for someone completely changes from, oh, I've got to go knock doors today, to God, lead me to where you would have me to go. 3 minutes? Awesome. Show up and be dependable. Parents are more likely to allow their kids to ride when they know what and who to expect. Be consistent. Knock your route every week. Even if you can't go personally, ensure that someone on your team does. Create a rotation for yourself if needed. Why does this work? Because the bus becomes more than just a ride. It becomes a connection point, and it becomes an extension of your church. Families begin to trust the people behind the ministry and not just the program. So I want to challenge you guys today as bus ministry workers, or those who are interested in getting one started. Reflect on the heart behind what you are doing and why you are doing it. I want you to know that you are not just transporting kids, but you are shaping their entire spiritual journey. Be consistent in your attitude, attendance, and in outreach. Pray over your bus route and your bus babies. Call their names in prayer and ask God for favor, protection, and open hearts. God, I know that all I am doing is driving a bus, but I want you to know that I am taking this serious. God, guide us to where you would have us to go. Lead us, God, to that child that is hungry for you, God. Help us to reach the one. Clean your bus like it's part of your ministry, because I want you to know that it is. A clean and welcoming bus shows that you care, and it sets the tone for those children before they ever walk into the church. Pray for wisdom and pray for favor within the families and the communities of those that you are picking up. Stay creative, stay joyful, because you are the front line of evangelism to these children. The most important thing out of all of this, though, is that you must maintain a relationship with God, and you must maintain a relationship with your bus riders. They must be more than just a number, but we should know them by name. If God thought it was important enough to know them before they were even born and when they were shaped in the womb, you as an extension of the church, you as the hands and feet of Christ, should strive to do the same thing. Learn their name. Become a familiar, caring, and welcoming face that they look forward to every single week. And I know that you are not in Sunday school. Some of you may be, a lot of our teachers are. But if your bus was the only church that kid sees this week, are they going to want to come back next week? If the only thing that you are doing is transporting them and they eat breakfast and they get right back on your bus and go home, have you created an atmosphere on your bus that is so powerful that if nothing else happened, they would want to get back on your bus? And if you can't say yes to that, you need to change something. Because your bus, take responsibility over it, your bus should and must be exciting, clean, welcoming, and a safe place for those kids. And if it is not, you need to change something. I think I went 2 minutes over, Sister Estrada. But that is our challenge when we leave here today. Is my bus a place that if that's it, if that's the only church that they get this week, are they going to want to come back next week? And if it isn't, go home and do what you need to do to make it that. Thank y'all. God bless y'all.